Hello again. You see 3 decks in front of you. We are actually going, excuse me, if you couldn't tell by the title of the video, we're going to do a review of the Gothic Tarot. Now, the reason I have 3 decks in front of you is because I want to show you the cardstock of the Gothic Tarot is pretty thick, okay? I mean, it bends when you have 1 card, but when you have multiple cards, it doesn't bend very well. If you try to riffle shuffle the deck, at least me, I can't get it to riffle shuffle. Because when you have that many cards together, there is no bend. See, there's like just a little bit with that many. And the reason I have 2 other decks by it is because I want you to be able to see the difference in height. These are 3 tarot decks. All 3 of them have 78 cards. This is the Epic Tarot, which is a low Scarabo deck. This is the Mystic Dreamers Tarot. I'm going to see if I can kind of move the camera around here. And now my phone's ringing. Pause. Okay, sorry about that. There was nobody I needed to answer. Now my ringer is off. Okay, so the reason I have them all sitting here is so you can see how much taller the Gothic deck is compared to the other 2 decks, even though they have the same amount of cards. Okay? That should give you an idea of how much thicker the cardstock is. Alright, I'm gonna get these decks out of here. And let's talk about the Gothic Tarot. Now, I have had this deck for over 10 years, pretty sure. It is the Gothic Tarot illustrated by Joseph Vargo. I do not have the box for it anymore because I got this from an Etsy shop that I've mentioned a few times. And I use this. I've shown this on my channel before, but this is what I use. The deck barely fits in here because of how thick the cards are. Like, the length and width of it is perfectly fine. It's the thickness, because this deck is so much thicker than normal. So, alright, as you can see, the Gothic Tarot illustrated by Joseph Vargo. This is the little white book that comes with it. Now, I did not catch this when I bought the deck. I only recently found out that there is actually a big book, the Gothic Tarot Compendium, a detailed guide. It even has Vargo's personal insights concerning the symbolism, which I would actually like to read, because one of the things I'm going to talk to you about is, as much as I love this deck for the dark Gothic imagery, I feel it's very difficult to use it in a way where you're using the symbolism of the card. Because all of the cards look dark. You know, if you're just looking at the image of the card, all of your readings are going to be quite dark, because it's Gothic. There is not a single card in here that looks happy, okay? I do want to get this book, though, because I don't have it. One thing that has been done in this one is, I think it's Justice and Strength that are switched. Justice is 8, Strength is 11. That's actually something I didn't notice until recently. Because when I first got this deck, this was the second deck I got, and I didn't know as much about tarot. So I didn't notice there was a difference then. It was something I only noticed recently. Ignore how bad my nails look, by the way. They're very unhealthy. And I haven't painted them recently because the nail polish just peels right off. So, Little White Book is a typical Little White Book. You have a small meaning for each one and a reverse meaning. So you get about that much for each card. It's not bad. You know, King of Cups says mysterious and secretive, a negotiator, a professional in business or law, fair-minded, responsible, interested in art and science. So it's really in basically keywords. And it tells you what the elements are and all of that. You know, decent little book for a little light book. It's fine. Alright. The card backs, as you can see, not reversible. Which I find interesting since it has reverse meanings in here. Obviously, it's meant to be read with reversals, but the back isn't reversible. Now, that doesn't bother me because I personally don't read reversals. But it may bother you if you want to read with reversals. So, let's take a look. Now, most of the cards are very blue. Some are green, some are red, some are more like a brown or black or something like that, you'll see. But I feel like the majority of them are in blues. So, let's get started. This is the Fool. As you can see, this is one of the green ones. So you have the man here, you have the sort of dog, I think that's a wolf. There's some birds. It's not traditional in that he's not on the edge of a cliff. He's not holding a white flower. He's not holding a bag. He looks incredibly sad. That is one of my issues with this deck. Is, like I said, reading the symbolism. If I just looked at this card, there is no way I would assign it traditional Fool meanings. Absolutely no way. I wouldn't say he's starting a journey. I mean, maybe, because he could be going through this gateway. But he certainly doesn't look happy about it or eager about it. Alright, the Magician. Now, he does look rather magician-y, but there's 4 others around him. It looks like each of the 4 are holding an element. So we have the cups, the swords, the pentacles, and the wands. It is the traditional suits. Nothing has been changed with the suits. Right, he's working some magic there. But again, looks dark. This looks like some sort of dark ritual or something to me. The High Priestess. Now this deck does have a decent amount of Egyptian symbolism. There's a lot of Egyptian in this card. There's hieroglyphics, as you can see. That is an image of Anubis, I believe. Horus, maybe? I can't remember for certain which one this one is. But a lot of hieroglyphics. Those are Isis's wings, from what I understand. You know, very nice card. But there's not a lot in terms of symbolism other than Egyptian symbolism. You know, the hieroglyphics and such. It's really just this woman standing in a doorway. The Empress. She is in a coffin, as you can see. Get a little closer on her there. There just looks to be like a skeletal angel on each side. So, again, I find this hard to get any sort of symbolism off of. You know, the Empress is generally sort of seen as like nurturing and creative and things like that, and I wouldn't get that from her. The Emperor is completely different. This is actually the one that's on the cover of the box. Here we have a man who looks, you know, very vampirish. A lot of them do, with 3 women around him. He kind of looks like Dracula to me. There's also a beast here, there's a raven here. There's a lot of ravens in this deck. But this is the Emperor. Show you a little closer. Now, I find it interesting, the High Priest card does not mirror the High Priestess. He mirrors the Empress. And I'll show you what I mean. High Priestess, Empress, and then the Hierophant, as I said, is the High Priest. The way his card is set up, he mirrors the Empress, not the High Priestess, which I find interesting, and it doesn't quite make sense to me. If anything, the Emperor and Empress, I would think, would mirror each other, and then the High Priestess and High Priest. It's another reason I would love to get his books, is so that I can see, you know, what's the idea behind the symbolism. So, much like the Empress, he's in a coffin. There are sort of skeletal angels. He looks like a vampire. Yeah. I don't see much in the way of Hierophant, you know, the traditional meaning in here. The Lovers is also set up very similarly to this and the Empress. As you can see, there is just no coffin. So when you look at these cards together, these three, the Empress, the Lovers, and the High Priest, the only thing different is the person in the middle, or people, and when it comes to the Lovers, and the fact that there's no coffin for the Lovers. So if you were trying to look at this in terms of symbolism, you know, to try to get a feel for the card from the meaning, you know, feel of the meaning of the card from looking at it, this isn't helpful. This really isn't helpful. I tend to use more traditional meanings with this deck because I can't, at least I feel like I can't use the symbolism on the cards. As I feel like there's not much symbolism. So, that's just my thoughts. I would like to know yours. There's the Chariot, going through a dark forest. And if you've noticed, we've gone through a lot of blue cards. I already told you a lot of the deck is kind of blue. Chariot looks pretty, you know, normal. You have a carriage with 2 horses. A little dark. It's in a dark forest, but I do like the Justice card. This is one of the few red ones. You know, sword, scales of justice. But that's about all there is to look at on this card. The Hermit. He seems to live in a bell tower, as that is a bell. There's bats. There he is up close. The Wheel of Fortune. As much as I think these cards are beautiful, I'm just not a fan of using them for readings because I feel like I can't use my intuition as much. For me, there's 2 ways I use my intuition when doing a reading. One is, you know, I kind of have the meaning of the card in my mind from seeing that card multiple times. And I use my intuition to see how it applies to this current situation. Or I may get a gut feeling that it's not even the traditional meaning. The other way is by looking at the card. Looking at the things in the card. What do the people look like? Do they look happy? Do they look sad? What kind of symbolism is in the card that I can pick up on? What is my eye drawn to? And cards like this, I feel I can't do that with. This is the Wheel of Fortune. Strength, I feel, looks a lot like the rest of the cards. I mean, I can get a feel of strength from this card. I don't know, she seems pretty ready to take on the world with her, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that beast is with her. Yeah, I don't know. Another one of the blue cards. The Hanged Man is simply a winged vampire hanging upside down. With this, I feel like I don't see, you know, one of the Hangman's possible meanings would be like sacrifice. I don't see that here. I mean, he's hanging upside down like you would expect him to as a sort of bat vampire thing. I wouldn't think it would be like a change of perspective because this is normal for him. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. The Death card looks very creepy. Very creepy indeed, I feel. There are some cards that I feel are quite creepy. This is one of them. Sliver of a moon in the background. Temperance. So it does have the traditional, like, liquid between the cups thing happening, but I feel like she's doing some sort of dark ritual. She's pretty. It's a pretty card. But I wouldn't necessarily get traditional temperance meanings out of it because I'm focused more on this cauldron of fire. The Devil. Fairly normal. You have a devil with two people chained. It's fairly standard. And they're holding their chains as well. The Tower. To me, this tower doesn't show destruction at all. First of all, this doesn't seem to be a tower to me. It seems to be more of a building. There is a lightning strike in the background. I'm not sure if it's actually hitting the building, but there's no evidence of it hitting the building, you know, like it crumbling or something. And then you have this figure here who appears to be dead, I would guess. Gargoyles up front, the moon. To me, this just seems like a cemetery, like maybe that's a mausoleum or something. Which, you'll notice a lot of these cards take place in a cemetery. Kind of makes sense, right? The Star. Not bad. I don't get as much of a sense of hope because, well, it's dark. The moon is one that I feel there's very little symbolism on, to be honest. You have a gorgeous crescent moon, this gorgeous angel sort of reclining on it, and then this man seems to be approaching her. There's these little heads on each side. That looks like a Medusa head. That's a skull. I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that is. But you obviously don't see the traditional moon symbols. You know, illusion and mystery and intuition and the things that would be associated with the moon. I don't get that feeling from this card. The sun is so not the sun. It looks like an eclipse. And it actually, well, I'm not sure. It's not the same pair that's in the moon card because their wings are different. I'm not sure who these two are. But he's carrying her. I don't get, like, joy and warmth out of this card, though. Judgment. Again, we're in a graveyard. I can see how this one is judgment. To me, it looks like she's being judged by this angel statue. Like she is someone who has died, possibly from this grave here, and she is being judged by the angel. So, I get judgment out of this one. And last, for the major arcana, we have the World. Again, I don't maybe I'm not looking at these cards close enough, but I would not get the traditional meanings from the world out of this. I just wouldn't. But then looking at it, I honestly don't know what meanings. I mean, I see we kind of have a heaven versus hell thing. Because these tend to have angel wings and these seem to have demon wings. So I see kind of a heaven versus hell going on. As above, so below. Maybe? I don't know. Alright, let's move on to the minors. We're going to start with wands. A lot of these, like the first 3 or 4 of each suit are basically pips. So we have the Ace of Wands. We have the 2 of Wands. We have the 3 of Wands. We have the 4 of Wands. Just a woman standing with the moon. She looks kind of ghosty. We have the 5 of Wands. This actually makes me think of death. Look at this figure, and then these kind of terrifying skeletal creatures holding each wand. This is another one of the cards I find a little scary. That's the 5 of Wands. The 6 of Wands. I feel like this person is going into battle rather than just having won a battle or something like that. The 7 of Wands. The 8 of Wands. The 9 of Wands. I think she's gorgeous, but kind of a Black Widow vampire vibe going on. And then the 10 of Wands, which I also don't... Most of those I didn't see their traditional meanings, but the 10 of Wands, specifically, you usually have someone carrying like 10 wands on their back that looks overburdened, and I don't see that from her at all. The Knave of Wands. I feel like a lot of the court cards also don't have much for you to look at. So you have sort of a gargoyle demon thing holding a wand and a skull. Now the Knight of Wands is probably my favorite card in the deck. It's inspiring to me. Also, I didn't specify this, but the knaves are pages. The Knight of Wands I find to be a gorgeous card. I actually want this tattooed on me. Just saying. Queen of Wands. She looks very vampirish, and this kind of looks like a werewolf with her. And then the King of Wands is a skeleton with wings. And now we move on to the Cups. Ace of Cups. 2 of Cups. I do find the artwork very pretty. Well, dark and pretty. 3 of Cups. The 4 of Cups appears to have some gargoyles sort of fighting over things. The 5 of Cups. The 6 of Cups. I'm sort of a ghostly woman sitting here reading between 6 cups. Noctem Eternus, which I looked that up once. I think it, if I remember right, it means eternal night. The 7 of Cups. Looks like Pandora's box is the symbolism I see there. You can see the box is open, and all of this seems to have come from the box. That has some symbolism. The Eight of Cups. The Nine of Cups. Again, I would love to have the book to read what they were thinking with the symbolism, because this does not say Nine of Cups to me. But I'm not going to talk about how every card doesn't seem like it, but every once in a while I will mention it again. So this does not say Nine of Cups to me. We have a lot of Egyptian symbolism again. I actually think this is the same setup for the High Priestess. It's just this is here instead of her, and then the cups are up here. The Ten of Cups, which usually shows something like a happy family. Not really sure. Maybe she's turning him into a vampire. That's her vampire husband. I don't know. The Knave or Page of Cups. The Knight of Cups. The Queen of Cups. And the King of Cups. And somehow I threw a card. Alright, on to swords. With the Ace of Swords. Two of Swords. Three of Swords. Four of Swords. The Five of Swords is another card that just quite literally terrifies me. Look at this. I'm gonna bring it closer in just a moment. Right now, I just want you to appreciate the fact that there are 5 swords sticking in skulls. And this is what's sitting on the throne. And it appears he has killed a king. If you look at the head on his sort of scepter staff thing. Terrifying, I feel. The Six of Swords. Seven of Swords. I mean, a lot of these are beautiful. It's just really hard for me to look at them and get some sort of symbolism. You know? Eight of Swords. Nine of Swords. I keep hearing a weird sound. Oh, I think it's my cat snoring. Alright. Ten of Swords. Sorry. Sorry for the distraction. The Knave of Swords. This reminds me of, like, I don't know, a DVD cover or something. Knight of Swords. It looks very valiant. Queen of Swords. And the King of Swords. Last, we have Pentacles. My cat's looking at me funny. One of my cats, not the one that's snoring. The other one is awake. Ace of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles. He looks rather creepy to me. Six of Pentacles. This looks like a sad scene to me. This looks like a ghost holding on to the angel. Very sad to me. Seven of Pentacles. That looks a bit scary to me. This man appears to be directing you to go through the gates, and I would rather not. Eight of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles. And 10 of Pentacles. And the last court card set, we have the Knave of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles. And last, the King of Pentacles. So, a very dark deck, as you can see. I like it. I like the artwork. Definitely. I don't think it's the best deck for people starting out, trying to, be able to look at the symbolism, use your intuition and that sort of thing, because every card is dark. There's not a single card that I feel represents like happiness or warmth or anything like that, even the traditionally happy cards, like the sun. So I hope this helped you if you were thinking about getting this deck. Leave me any questions or comments below. I would love to know your thoughts on this deck as well. Of course, if you're not a fan of Gothic art at all, you're probably not going to like it. So, alright, I will see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me, and take care of yourselves.